Hello, and welcome to Of the People. More importantly, welcome to Super Tuesday. Let's cut through it all. Trump wins Super Tuesday. Race is over. But what this is really about, and people should understand on Super Tuesday, is not only is all politics local, all voting happens at the local level. At least they haven't been successful in nationalizing it yet. So all of this against the backdrop this week that all voting is local and we want as many people to vote as possible. But you now have, earlier this week, Attorney General Merrick Garland was down in Selma, Alabama for the, I believe it's 59th anniversary of Black Sunday. And for those of you who don't know your history, if you don't know your history, you're probably not listening to this podcast. But for those of you who don't know your history, that was when law enforcement basically attacked civil rights protesters in Selma, Alabama. It's called Bloody Sunday. But the problem is they are rolling out the same old tropes, and you know how I love to read things to everybody. So Merrick Garland down in Selma, Alabama, and this is all about voter ID and voting rights, says the following, that anyone who certain measures such as voter ID laws and redistricting makes it much harder for millions of eligible voters to vote and to elect representatives of their choice. Such measures threaten the foundation of our system of government. What crap, right? Because it's the same old trope. As we learned with the Georgia law in 2021, it actually increased voter turnout. But we're going to put something up for you right now. Here are all the things that you as Americans have to show ID for in order to get anywhere. You have to have an ID if you want to get into the hospital. You have to have an ID if you want to sign a mortgage. You have to have an ID if you want to get married and or you have to have an ID if you want to get a birth certificate. You have to have an ID if you what? You want to buy a firearm. Let's put that back up again. I want people to see this, right? You have to have IDs for all these things, but you don't have to have a voter ID or an ID to vote. The most sacred responsibility, because the trope is, oh, they're threatening democracy, right? Which is, we want all people to vote. And yes, we do, but we want all legal people to vote. With the influx of illegal immigrants into this country, the massive influx, Arizona just passed a law that you have to show proof of citizenship to vote. Democrats challenged it in court, and the federal judge just says, no, that's not an unreasonable burden. What I really want to know, and what I think everybody here is, why is it always about discrimination? And why isn't it about getting it right? Because isn't it more important, or at least as important, that we get the vote count right? Because free and fair elections depends on getting the vote count right, and most importantly, people having confidence that their vote was counted. So you see all of this stuff going on, and the question for America is, which is more important to you, right? But there is some good news, as I said, the Georgia voter law, the Arizona voter law, and I want to end this on a little more good news. There are things that are really positive happening in this country, and in all places, in New Jersey, where there has been, under the radar, certainly not reported, a Republican wave happening in the blue state of New Jersey, and nobody's talking about it, which will get really interesting in the 2025 election. Later on, we're going to have County Commissioner Joe Cilio with us. Stay tuned for that. With that, Ericka, come on back in and save me from myself.